All right, BOMAQ talk. We are back from our little spring break. I let you know previous 2 weeks ago that we would be taking a spring break, get some woosah time over the holiday for me. And so we are, as we said, back on this Friday, the 17th, with BOMAQ Talk. Um, BOMAQ Talk is a BOMAQ multimedia discussion hosted by Urbanetectonics LLC. These discussions align with Urbanetectonics LLC vision and mission and our intent with our clients, owners, managers, administrators, um, target markets, right? So our vision, just to keep reiterating, so you kind of know where we're coming from, put everything in context. The firm's vision or plans long term are to build the best frameworks, centralized constructs that enhance economic hubs and support business ecosystems. Our mission, the firm's mission, or our calling, as to say, is to conserve business constructs and to preserve business owners, managers, and administrators through the implementation of quality management solutions. And that includes me as an owner. So that's why we took a spring break, because I gotta preserve that genius. All right, so um and that's why we do some of the things that we do. Yeah, because I'm also an owner, manager, administrator. And so I have to preserve myself as well and conserve the business constructs to which I operate in. So sometimes I have to set boundaries around just to make sure that everything is kosher. But in any case, what is BOMAC Talk? If you are haven't been following us in the last decade or two, BOMAC Talk is a um, discussion. Um, it's a dynamic platform for professionals, innovators, and thought leaders to explore the intersection of technology and business operations. We focus on helping organizations navigate digital transformation and master project management to achieve long-term sustainability. Some of the core pillars of discussion, most of the subject matter is on system integration, business automation, and future tech trends. A major focus is that 10 core assessment and or service, just going through some of the dynamics of that. We encourage businesses to take that annually or quarterly to audit their business health and delegate those target areas effectively. We take it, we use our own product. We are we're still in the core areas of uh, 5 and 6, which is sales, marketing, public relations, and then 6, which is multimedia, and then 8 and 9, which are uh, the asset lifecycle management, assets dealing with financials. Financial is uh, in that core, and then technology, of course. So you'll see a lot of that on our feed this year, this quarter, and uh, in each quarter of this particular year, because that's what we're working on. So um, the format, I guess, in philosophy is it's informal, just casual discussions. We're just iterating some things, insights that we've learned as we work through some of our core work for the firm, and the lessons learned as we kind of go through the trenches. And so, but we don't rely on that, gut feel alone. We are tapping in and doing that silent listening or whatever in the industry. And we use AI and systematic empirical data to kind of stress test some of the experiences that we have, because we know as a first time business owner, we're laying the foundation on some things. And there are folks who have been in the trenches longer than we have, who are business owners, managers, administrators. And so we learn from their experiences as well. So we don't have to, because we're bootstrapping. So we don't want to have to pay for uh, mistakes, when we can learn from someone else's mistakes who can give us better insight in those areas to which we may have not had experience. So yeah, we balance that out. This allows us to move past that, anecdotal bias and provides you with some high integrity, data-backed solution. So that is the goal. That's the goal. So we always like our feedback. We love your feedback, constructive feedback, feedback that will assist us in um, creating better infrastructure systems, solutions, and those types of things. So yeah, we love feedback on those things. The data shift, um, we are just addressing that. You'll hear that a lot of uh, I hear a lot of content about the data shift because there's lots of information out there coming at us that you just can't imagine. I have to go through my email and all of the resources that people can send us data through have to go through it, delete it, and all that kind of stuff because boxes, those storage boxes are just getting full to capacity of data that is being sent our way. And so, and AI is making it even go even faster because now they can send you more stuff and more quickly and those type of things. So we believe AI is revolutionizing knowledge management. And so because of that, we are also shifting in the area of data and how we manage our data. It's a slow shift, but we are shifting. Our goal is to help you bridge the gap between human intuition and objective, replicable, replicated measurement, ensuring your business transformation is built on a foundation of facts and not just our neat little stories, right? So, and who should join? Business owners, managers, administrators. That's our target market. The content is usually tailored to owners, managers, administrators. So if you are not an owner, business owner, if you're not managing someone else's business, as a manager or managing your own business, then this content is probably not geared towards you. If you're not an administrator are those individuals who um, oversee a group or like a nonprofit public agency where their decisions have to be approved by a group. So uh, that's our administrator category. A manager, you may be managing for someone else, or you may be um, um, a manager of your own business. And then business owners, of course, this is individuals who have a legal structure. All these have legal structures that have formal and legal structures, whether it's a sole proprietor, partnership, LLC, corporation, S corp, those types of things, right? So um, this is who the content is tailored to. So if you're not in those groups or whatever, then this content may not be um, uh, resonate with you. All right. So um, and in that target market, if you're trying to look for ways to simplify organizational complexity or optimize your workflows, then this you can find some solutions within BOMAQtalk content, right? So where to watch YouTube, our YouTube page, Urbanetectonics YouTube page. We are um, uh, doing some live and doing pre-recorded videos. So you will be able to find the pre-recorded videos under the tab that says videos. And then if it's live, you will be able to find that content under the live feed. They are long 2-hour sessions. If you want to get some snippets and stuff like that, we are doing shorts. So you can go into the shorts, find out some little key snippets of the talks and which um, hour section that was in. So you can kind of go back and say, okay, let me listen to the whole thing of this particular subject matter, right? So um, main hub to where you can find the BOMAC Talks Urbanetectonics YouTube page. All right. Um, and where all else fails, go to our website. You can go to multimedia. All the links are there as well from the Urbanetectonics website. Um, all right, and so we've been picking up, new followers. We got new individuals following us, meaning that who are engaging with us um, uh, generationally and just by way of our reach. We meet new people. We we are a member of, I thought it was 12 groups, um, groups that are um, owners, managers, administrators, whether it's faith-based or otherwise. I thought it was 12. It's actually 30, 30 different business groups. So as we are interacting within those groups, we are picking up new folks who are just getting introduced to the firm, getting introduced to the managing members, getting introduced to our service and BOMAC Talk. So um, we're kind of reintroducing ourselves. Let me reintroduce myself. All right, yeah, so um, and their needs may be different than the previous owners, managers, administrators that used to follow us. So we are transitioning some content into platforms that may not appeal to all of our audiences. So if you are in a certain generational feed, then stay on that feed. If YouTube is your thing, or Twitter was your thing, or Instagram's your thing, then just stay there. We have owners, some really, really smart owners and managers, administrators who are younger, and they are on TikTok, they are on Instagram, they are on some of the gaming platforms. Really, really smart, talented individuals to which we want to connect. And so we will be there, and some of our content may be a little off-putting for you, for those platforms and for those owners, and that's okay. We understand that. Just stay on YouTube. We got plenty of stuff for you on there. All right, so that's happening. Want you to know it's going to happen, why it's happening, all those good things, right? So, okay. Um, so glad to be back. Glad, and I am taking some staycation. So, um, uh, yeah. I am Tammy. I'm one of the managing members at Urbanetectonics. I have over 3 decades leading in high pressure male dominated arenas, from architecture, engineering, construction, facilities, education, technology, to ministry. Did I say a couple decades? Yeah. So I've built a reputation for being rough around the edges, but fiercely effective. I'm an anti-debt, fully bootstrap operator lives by one mantra: every project must pay for itself. So we try our best to make that happen. I'm a seasoned project manager of different types of work and project teams. And so I know what it takes to build valuable intellectual property, invest in others, and to dominate fast-paced industries, while often being the only female or woman of color in the room. It still happens. Surprise, it still happens. But it seems like I gravitate to those areas. I don't know why. It's just like, okay, I need to be here. But I don't just speak with confidence, I lead with it. And all that is built on deep roots and intentional work. I'm always working on myself. I'm always working. I'm a work in progress towards wellness, staying in community, and building my faith. Yeah. So welcome back, BOMAC Talk. We're BOMAC talking about it. Um, if you are new here, genuinely glad you found us. I think one of the most important conversations, I think this conversation we're about to have um, is one of the most important conversations we put on, right? So this in this episode, it's called Creative Leadership in the Age of AI, right? Well, that's sort of the uh, subject matter. Um, but the title, I guess the title we give it is the architecture of creativity, right? And so it's still um, in the area of give to gain, right? Still in the area of give to gain. But we, with the both of those being such long titles, we just had to give it its own title. It's still in that area, in that ballpark. But these last two sessions of this probably will still be sort of in the give the gain um, ballpark. But you know, the framework to which we're going to introduce in this episode is talking about the content and then the AI edge within that, and then just kind of showing you um, some folks wanted to kind of see our workflow a little bit. We can't show you everything because you could screenshot, right? And this has already happened. It's happened twice, three times already. So I mean, I'm glad we're doing a slow build because people are going so fast that we were like, okay, that's not what we were doing. So you can screenshot, put it in AI or whatever, and duplicate it, right? So that's happening. Yeah. So that's the only caveat about doing the workflow thing is that we kind of want to, we want to keep our IP, we want to keep our stuff. Um, uh, we don't want to see it everywhere. So um, we have to work through that, but we are going to show you a portion of it. You know, uh, one of the, we're going to show you the AI um, resources that we're using and how we're working through that. So we are going to show you some stuff, some snippets, and it'll be good content for our TikTok as well. So, um, but yeah, in this episode, we're going to tackle um, the single biggest shift happening in content creation right now. And we've talked about it a little bit previously, but I don't think we got in this much depth because we have so much to talk about on the other subject. So we really didn't get into the content creation stuff. And so uh, it's the single biggest shift happening in content creation right now, and it's not the one most people are talking about. Yes, AI can write your blogs. You can get I talked about how I scripted or download the transcript of one of my videos. I was able to do a blog or have AI do a blog, a podcast, an article, you name it, that content. I could have it flip it around and do into any type of media um, that I would need. So yes, it can do that. AI can do that. And yes, it can script your social content. It's helping me script it right now. So yeah, so that I can kind of stay on point. And I won't be said because I'm thinking. And there it is. So it can do that. It can script your social content. But that's not the only disruption. That's a disruption. To me, I feel like that's a disruption because if you, I know how long it takes me to write some of this content. And with my country slang or my country twang, I call it, it's not really slang, it's twang. Um, with my country twang, um, yeah, I, and these are 2 hour sessions too. Yeah, that help is great. So it's not the only disruption. But another disruption is this: if AI can produce information instantly, then information itself is no longer valuable. That's the biggest thing, is that okay, if AI can tell us everything we need to know, then when we get into thought leadership types of situation, if I can just go to AI and find that out or fact check it and get more detailed information, because I can go deep, 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 deep dive into a subject matter with AI, and it can work through that situation with me, with you, with anyone, right? So, and the smarter the product, LM or AI resource, the smarter that it is, the more um, intelligent that it's built, the better it can serve. And so, um, what is valuable and what can't, what um, can't AI replicate? Um, which comes down to your point of view, your lived experience, our neat little stories, right? And your ability to tell your audience what to ignore, to with all the noise and all the data that's coming at you in your inbox, on social media, and every platform that you're on, the ability to actually sift through all that and get to the gist of, what you need, or the gist of what's important, now becomes, um, we think, the value add, right? So these episodes are going to try to walk through how to make that transition, from a thought leader to creative leader. And I am a creative mind. Um, uh, I have a creative background. Um, um, from someone who, we're talking about this shift from someone who produces content to someone who builds the ecosystem that makes great content inevitable, right? And so we're on the path. We haven't gotten there yet either, but we realize that shift, it has to happen. It needs to happen, in our opinion. It needs to happen, right? So some of the key themes, um, that we are going to try to emphasize, and maybe be the key takeaways from this, is generic thought leadership is what replaces it. We talked about the give the game philosophy in some of the other sessions, and now we're talking about building authority in this noisy world. It's more noise now. Get noise faster, more content faster, right? And so, and then how to audit this content, um, even sifting through it as an agent. If you are allowing agents to get into your email, which we haven't decided to do yet, um, uh, auditing to the content for what's for humans only to handle, and what AI, should handle. Um, and then the research model, because I am marketing research, doing independent research, always abreast, when we are doing research and development, developing products, developing ideas, developing the service and products that we have, and staying abreast in industry, going to new markets. We are 5 years young in Ohio, and each region within that area has a different market. I have to do market research for each one area. Same thing in Texas, is that as we are looking into to Dallas areas, Plano, McKinney, those types of things, each one of those have a different kind of market, than that of Cibolo and San Antonio, or even Austin is different. So you have to be really good at penning down research. And so having that what kind of research model using AI to synthesize um, data, right? And um, according to your brand, right? Your brand. So, and what it really means to have to lead these hybrid teams of humans and AI. That is, if you have been following us through the AI integration that we are looking to, we are going to have hybrid team of humans and AI. So we have already looked at organizational structure and what that might look like for us, and that will evolve as we gain a better understanding of how we need to safeguard systems as you do that. Um, so in any case, today we're going deep on something we've been thinking about for the last 6 months, I believe. And it's changing how we run our business and how we create content and how we think about what we're actually, selling when we're selling our expertise, right? So we have um, in Gamma Learning, we are selling some of our expertise, some of our experiences through books, through classes, through different YouTube discussions. And so, um, even if you are creating more content, because as we found that we could kind of work through some of these using AI, we can create content faster. And everybody is experiencing that. But just because you're creating content faster, um, you're not working less. We're filling in those gaps um, of, I guess, empty space or gain time. That time we gained, we're filling it with something else. We did that too. We did that too. So we multiplied what we did. If we would have kept it just like we were doing, then we would have had these um, that time, the gain in time. But because we filled that gain with something else, we don't. Uh, we actually multiplied the work. So um, other folks have experienced the same thing. So it's kind of funny. We're keeping it as it is because we've actually where some folks they're posting more and showing up more, but their needle is not moving. We're actually seeing some gains in places where we weren't before and that we're moving into, and we're saying, oh, okay, all right, we didn't we are experiencing some gains in those areas, and the content is serving us well. Our clients are more long-term clients, so most of our contracts are multi-year contracts. They're 3-year, 5-year. Some of them are like 10-year contracts because it takes some time to build relationship and to work through um, uh, yeah, to build basically to build relationships with some of the organizations to which we get awarded or contracted with. And so having content to be able to send to them within a email campaign or to show them how something works during a marketing meeting or a one-on-one is what we're looking for. We're not really looking for the big numbers on YouTube so we don't get distracted, dissuaded, or in competition about that. Because the important thing for us is to have that content available so that we can pull on it later. So if there's a particular subject matter that we're kind of working through, and then we see an owner, a manager, administrator who's working through that, we say, oh, hey, look at this episode, or take these pieces of information, or where we talked about this on this, and wherever, if you have any questions, you can give us a call. So that's um, the purpose of the content that we're creating, is to establish these long-term relationships. So even if it doesn't perform, um, like it doesn't go viral in the moment, we're not kind of distraught about it. But um, we do want the content to have value over time. And so in this timestamp, this particular content has value because we are moving, um, we are making a transition into AI. And it's good to kind of document how we did it and how we're doing it. And uh, for us to recall, and then, for others who may chart that trajectory as well. All right. So, yeah, sometimes you're posting more, showing up more, and the needle isn't moving. And you'll have to kind of measure why that's happening and whether that matters, for you, right? For you and your business, and your vision, your mission, your goals, right? And so, um, but today we are going to try to explain exactly why that's happening, and more importantly, what you can do about it. What can you do about it? A lot of the algorithms are changing. TikTok, when it changed ownership, maybe since we've had the account, it's maybe changed one, two, maybe three times. And each time the algorithm appears to be changing, or the way that it's selecting and monitoring through information appears to be changing. So you just have to adjust to it, kind of learn it all over again. Um, so that's happening. It's happening on TikTok. It happened on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, when it changed hands, um, the algorithm and the way that it would sort through the information in your feed changed. And it changed again just recently. So within, let's say, the last year or so. Um, yeah, so that happens. And you just have to, and it will continue to happen, right? And so it's not doom and gloom. Um, and this is not an AI is killing our business and our careers and our jobs and stuff like that episode. We're not doing that. So, um, but this is a genuinely a practical, optimistic framework as to how to operate as a creator, whatever title you use, in a world where the game has fundamentally changed and has changed, right? So some change management tactics here. And so we're going to get into um, actual exercises today, not just theory. We got a live content. We're going to go through some live content that we're creating um, in the next hour. I'm not going to do it in this hour. Um, we'll put the framework. Uh, we'll introduce a framework, kind of show it to you, give you some concrete terms, where you can glean some a unique value, um, actually, within the content process that we show. So, um, so thought leadership, as most people practice it, we feel like it's over. It's fading out, right? And so, not thought itself, right? People are thinking and thinking intelligently and have great thoughts, that we want to hear and that they should share. So not leadership itself, so not thought itself, not leadership itself, but the specific practice of I have ideas. I will share them, and that will build my brand. That version we believe is running out of time. It's only a matter of time before it runs out of time, right? And so the reason is actually very simple. Information is now a commodity. It's yeah. I mean, it's think about what a commodity is. It's a product where supply so far exceeds demand that the price drops to near zero. So oil is a commodity. Wheat is a commodity. And right now, 2,000 word blog posts explaining industry trends, commodity. LinkedIn carousel summarizing what five experts said about the future of work, a commodity. Because AI can generate those instantly at scale for basically no cost. I'm building, got two AI builds that I'm going to show you, and I'm building it basically at no cost. That is the goal. Every project have to pay for itself, and still until it's able to monetize itself, we don't want to run up a bill. We don't want, we have not given it any runway, uh, budget runway, right? So it needs to basically be at no cost, and that's why it's kind of a slow build because we're working within the frameworks of those AIs um, and what they've made available to us to be able to do that, right? And so when you say that out loud, yeah, most people kind of nod and say, yeah, sure, AI content is everywhere. But I don't think we fully absorb what this actually means. It doesn't just mean there's more bad content out there. It means the economics of content have shifted when the supply of anything goes to near infinite, value moves somewhere else, right? And so where does it move? That's the entire um, uh, premise, of today's episode. How to recapture value within within this particular situation that we are all in, right? So why information lost its value, that commodity trap, right? So what's happened? Well, let me tell you what we think. For the last decade, the content marketing model was built on a pretty simple premise. If you consistently produce high quality information in your niche, people will find you, trust you, eventually hire you, to speak for a conference for your service. And that worked. It really did. You have these webinars, these classes, blogs, articles, newsletters, um, these email campaigns build empires, billion-dollar businesses. But there was an underlying assumption baked into that model that nobody talks about because it was so obvious. It felt like, stating the obvious. The assumption was high quality information is scarce. So writing this useful 2,000 word guide on a complex topic took hours. Not everyone could do that. And yeah, that's true. Everyone had the expertise. Scarcity created the value. Well, now scarcity is gone uh, overnight, basically. Not exactly overnight, but yeah, it's gone. So if you're still operating on that old model, and a lot of very smart, very hardworking creators are, right? You're essentially trying to compete in a market where your competitive advantage has been eroded. That was your competitive advantage. It's gone. Yeah, aside for that, right? So you're running faster to stay in the same place, and it's exhausting. It's going to be exhausting because you feel it, you're working harder than ever, and the results are not going to match. The results are not going to match. Um, um, so what, right? If we have a so what question mark, that's so what test. Um, it's the cleanest way to understand where value actually lives right now. Here's the test. Take any piece of content you've created and ask, could an AI have generated the information in this piece? Not the writing style, not the way you told the story, just the actual facts, data, and information. Ask, okay, country twang. Okay, so the harder question, after all that information, you read it, so what? So, so what? What's the big deal? What does it mean? What should my specific audience actually do with this? What am I supposed to do with this? How do I apply it? What should they stop doing? What should they prioritize? Um, that's the so what, the insight, the implication, the strategic filter. That's what AI can't do for you because that requires knowing your audience, knowing your context, industry context, having lived through the wins and the failures and being willing to take a definitive stance, right? And so AI will use logic and reason based upon whatever information that you give it. But if you take a definitive stance and put it in there, or you put industry context in there, or the audience, like our owners, managers, administrators, say, I need you to get towards this, then it changes the whole uh, insight, implications, and the strategic filter. So let's kind of work through an example of that, right? The difference between information and insight. Information and insight, right? And we don't have it down yet. We don't have it down yet. We're just walking it through, right? So information would be AI is changing SEO, search engines. We've even seen the new acronyms for how AI is changing SEO. It's not SEO anymore. I think it's AEO or something like that. I'm not sure. But AI is changing SEO. Search engines are now summarizing answers at the top of results pages, which means organic click-through rates are declining for informational queries. That's accurate. That's useful. But any decent AI tool can generate that sentence, right? Um, and it's actually going to give you more. It's going to give you the acronym for AI and AEO and tell you items like you should put in a um, information you should know, uh, typical questions asked, those types of things, some of the things we've done as basics on the website. An insight would be for B2B consultants, specifically people who sell high ticket services to other businesses, this change is actually less threatening than it looks because your buyers are not using Google to find you. They're using LinkedIn, referrals, and events. So your 2026 content strategy should double down on community and credibility, not traffic. That's a strategic filter. That's a point of view. That comes from experience. That's what your audience can't get anywhere else. And that's something that we have iterated uh, specifically because that's applicable to us. Right? So that's really a clean distinction, right? So the one is information, but then the other is putting that in application where you start to prioritize whether this is important or not. Is this important? This is important information for my particular situation. Um, and this applies, and the reason this is a conversation to be had and interesting to us because we do that with solutions, right? We do have a 10 core service, a 10 core assessment, but that 10 core framework is built to be flexible because there is no business that is alike. Yes, all owners, managers, administrators have some common problems. And so we group some of that. Um, those problems that may be common to all owners, managers, administrators, but each solution or solution set, yeah, solution set or service set, right, or um, uh, service stack may be different depending on that owner, that manager, administrator. What we've talked about, the context, where they are, how they position themselves in the industry, and then the owner, their how they want to run, what their mission and their vision for that company or business is. And so it's the same to me, it's the same thought process where it's not one size fits all. When I take that information, now I need to um, translate that into an insight so that's applicable to uh, the context, the industry, and the frameworks to which I want to apply it, right? And so um, this is, the clean distinction, and it's the difference between being a reporting service and being an advisor. It's always been that way. And I think a lot of the content creators have accidentally been acting like reporting service. Here's what is happening and what their audience, what our audiences really need um, is advisement. They are looking for advisement and for folks to guide them through some of these changes. And so we talked about the mindful manager and progressive leaders and charting through some of that. And so this is really building on that foundation of that. So when you consistently tell people not just what is happening, but what it means for them specifically, and when you're right about that, right, getting that right, getting those insights right, and not out of the ballpark. People stop consuming general information about your topic. They just wait for you. See, we let you consume, let you consume it, come back, let us know. You become their filter, and there's some pros and cons to that too, as well, right? Because if you don't get it right, you can be a good filter or a bad filter. So, and that's incredibly defensible position, right? And so it's a valuable position. There is, this phrase with the best newsletters don't just inform, they decide. They decide what is important. They decide what matters. And that's kind of what we're talking about, right? Being a decision maker, being a decision maker, being a progressive leader, and charting the path. And then mindful managers come behind that and they tactically execute, right? So, um, all right, so let's, we kind of put together like or already discussed a give to gain philosophy, within the past segments. And so let's shift into building authority through curation. right? So um, let me take a quick pause before we do that.